I'm Nick.
I'm Vic.
And we're NV Board Gaming. We are back doing another one of these in our series of Try This. This time we're doing Catan. If you have not joined us before, welcome to the channel. We are a couple that does games for reviews, games, do top 10s, Kickstarter previews, unboxings of Kickstarters, and game found games. We have a series we've been doing with Try This. We've done like Monopoly, Clue, chess, and so on. Dominoes, I think was another one. Card games, story games, So now we're going to do Catan. The reason we're going to do this, a couple reasons. First off, for me, when I got this new job, I asked a couple coworkers if they like board games, and they both said yes. And I asked which ones they like, and they both agreed Catan. That was the very first game they mentioned. And then Vic suggested we do a video of a Try This. Like, what would we recommend? Games that may have some similar callings to Catan. What games in those mechanics maybe that would be similar. So we are going to get rolling, and we're going to be rolling first with the mechanic of rolling for resources. So Vic, what do you got?
So first up is Space Base. This is a game with a space theme, so a little different than the Catan theme. But in this game, everyone's going to reap the rewards of dice rolls that you're ultimately going to do. You're going to trade those up for upgrading your cards or getting victory points, and it's a race to accumulate a certain amount of points as well. So that game, I think there's very little downtime, and you're rolling dice, so that really fits it.
Yep. Next one is you as well.
Yeah.
What is the second one?
This game is similar. We played this one at Gen Con, which is a board game convention, and we liked it a lot. It is Bad Company. So Bad Company is a game similar to Space Base. You're rolling dice at the same time as one another to ultimately move on a track and try to win a race with your vehicles. So you're like trying to beat the cops in this heist that you're pulling off, and you're going to exchange resources through those the dice rolls and choosing what resources you're going to get from those dice, and then pulling off jobs, crimes.
Yeah, and you get resources in that too.
Yeah,
now that I think about it, that you're rolling for resources on your cards. You're trying to fill up by contracts almost. And another thing cool about that, you kind of have agency with those dice rolls. You the person that's rolling those can actually decide which two they're going to use. They roll 4 dice. I'm going to make this an 11 and this 5. And then everyone can pick one of those, and the boss gets to pick both. It's kind of cool. You have some agency there. I have 2 in this category as well. Machikoro is more of a classic, like Space Base is becoming a classic. Machikoro, probably one of the more original ones, I think, for rolling, and everyone gets something on their turns. So, again, this has a calling of little to no downtime. People like that as well. Valerie Card Kingdoms, of these games that we just mentioned 4 of them, we've done reviews on 3 of these. Space Base, Andrew and Sam, who are also on our channel doing reviews, they did Space Base. Wait, we did Space Base.
Surprise!
We did Space Base, but they love Space Base. Both of us. That's like in their top games. But we did record that in an expansion. Bad Company, we recorded. And Valerie Card Kingdoms is the one I'm mentioning now. We've also recorded a review for another game where you're rolling for resources and other people get to trigger off their cards, essentially. This one, you're acquiring different cards based on maybe the odds of maybe rolling a 6 or odds of rolling a 7. Those are lesser. But if you get the cards that are good for rolling a 12, you're going to get a lot of stuff. So you're trying to build up certain numbers that give you certain numbers of resources when they trigger. And again, this is simultaneous. When you're rolling it, other people are triggering off different things too. There's a little more to this game. It's not too complex though at all. It's just you can do different things with those resources you're spending, domains and fighting monsters and different things. So those are 4 games for the mechanic of rolling for resources. So we are going to move on to controlling areas and getting resources from those areas.
So first off, I thought of Concordia. So this is probably like a step up, I think, from playing Catan. But in this game, instead of dice, you get to use cards. And you're using the cards in a action of what you're going to do. Your opponents can also do a version of that action as well, right?
It'll say exactly on the card what you do. So it's not that complex, actually. It is more complex than Catan, I'm sure. But really, if you read the card, it says what you're doing in your action. So it's not that bad.
And there's as we said, controlling areas to gain resources. Every area on this big map has a resource that you're ultimately trying to acquire, establish your colony there, your settler, settle that area, get the resources, and then you'll be able to trigger off a production card, get those, and trade them in for other things. So,
Yep.
yeah, that's definitely a game we would recommend that's similar to Catan.
All right, this one's a little bit of a sleeper one. We had this one delivered on Kickstarter. It's called Artemis Odyssey, which is a sequel to Artemis Project. This one, you have a lot of that, controlling different areas, and when that area produces, you get a bunch of stuff. And you could completely block out other people. Maybe they don't produce anything in that, that resource, that area. That has a very strong Catan feel to it as well. And Vic, you have kind of like this one isn't as much of a unknown, but it's a little bit of a stretch, right? This next one here.
Yeah, I mean, Architects of the West Kingdom is something I thought of when it comes to controlling areas and resources, because the amount of people you're going to put in a spot is going to dictate the amount of resources you're going to get. So you're not going to be rolling dice for resources, but you are going to try to get your people out, put them into areas on the map, on the board, to get the resources. You can arrest people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of fun, is that you can get people out of those areas when you need to.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think that ultimately sums up how it relates to Catan in our mind.
Yeah, it's controlling an area. The more you have people there, the more you're going to get.
Yeah.
All right. Now, the last one we're going to have is trading, which isn't necessarily one of our favorites mechanisms. But maybe I should speak for myself. Not my favorite. So we're going to have some here. Vic, what is your first one on trading?
So similar to a game, well, it's a game we've already said.
Mm-hmm.
This is Artemis Odyssey, another sleeper pick from us. And this is because in the game, when you can't produce a resource yourself, there is an action card that you can deploy as one of your choices to trade, instead of just getting resources from the bank or trading with the bank. You can choose to also trade with your peers. So that, for that reason, we thought that was a strong representation in addition to the other aspects of the game that were similar to Catan.
Yep. And you have a second one. This is one we played at Grand Con. Do you remember anything about Colosseum?
Yeah. So this one, you are you're in the Roman age. You're working on this Colosseum. You have an arena. You're trying to upgrade your arena area and put on these more and more ambitious events. You're going to put on these productions, and so you're going to go gather resources. You're going to recruit people to perform in these arena.
And there's a trading phase. There's a whole phase where people can stop and do trades if they want.
Yeah.
So you can drag that out. You can make that where, I'm happy. You can skip me. Don't even talk to me. So it's like it has that trading phase.
Yeah.
We have two here. One of them we mentioned in our Monopoly video where we did games to try if you like Monopoly, and that's Chinatown. Chinatown fits in that because it has that trading aspect, as Monopoly does, technically. We're not going to recommend Monopoly because it was one we were trying to get people away from the big box games and try other ones. But Chinatown has that feature. And Bonanza is one I hear has that same feature. However, I have not played it. I can't vouch for it. But if you're looking for other games that have that trading, that's really what you like about Catan, then maybe check out Bonanza as well. And we have a couple more that kind of fit multiple, feel like. So
yeah, so these games rank very high in our top 100 board game lists. I don't want to spoil anything, but I kind of did. But check out that list if you want to know what all we do like. So for me, I'm going to say this is a game that became very popular. It was launched to popularity. It wasn't very well known, even the designer of it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Earth. It's a beautiful game. It's about what you think it is, about life forms growing these sprouts of plant life that will ultimately attract certain animals. You're trying to acquire the resources that you'll need to score points in the game. So everybody will benefit. When you choose an action, other people get to do a form of that action as well. So there's very little downtime. You're going around just in the same way with Catan. Controlling areas and getting resources.
Well, the way that works is if you so you're trying to get more of a certain color, and when somebody triggers that color, you technically control more of that color, so you might have a way bigger turn than somebody actually picked. Because it's action selection. People are saying, we're going to do this, and everyone's going to do that. And like I said, you get a lesser form. But not only that, all your cards trigger. So if they picked an action where you have a ton of cards, you're going to be sitting there doing actions for a while.
Yeah.
So it is controlling that whole action. You feel like you lock it down. You benefit more than everyone else at the table. You control it. It's not necessarily an area, but it is like an expertise that you focused on.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one here, Red Cathedral, is another game that, like Vic said, ranks very high for us. This one, you are going to get resources, as a lot of these games, but it has a rondel thing going. You're going to move dice, and technically the more dice that are at a place that you're going, the more resources you're going to acquire. And when you acquire those resources, ultimately you're trying to contribute to areas. Areas in this game are building up the Red Cathedral. When you do that, you also get a token, which will benefit you in certain areas of when you move these different colored dice. Like, oh, when I move the yellow dice, I get the trigger off that token I acquired earlier.
Yeah.
So there is a lot. It's not that heavy, however, it is a step up from Catan. It's a very enjoyable game. This is one I personally recommend, even if you don't like Catan, and Earth as well, for sure.
Yeah. It's good to roll those dice and have them on that rondel, like that area that everybody gets to choose.
Yeah, but technically when you roll, you're not benefiting yourself.
Yeah.
You're already rolling for the next person, so they have to figure out how they're going to move the dice and get different resources. So that's a little different as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for watching our Try This video for Catan. If you have any recommendations in the comments, if there's games that you think are similar or you've enjoyed or moved on from Catan and found that this was the next best step up for you in your game group, let us know in the comments. And like the video if you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.
See ya!
Bye!